Welcome to Technologies. Today we will install DNS service in Windows Server 2022. So here is a quick summary before we installing a DNS service in Server 2022. A DNS server is a computer that complete the process of the name resolution. In DNS, a DNS server contains zone files that enable them to resolve name to IP address and IP address to names. There are two zones, which is one is forward and other one is reverse. So forward lookup zone is convert name to IP address. You can see over we will configure add a host or AEEE records. A reverse lookup zone resolve IP address to name. Here we add PTR record. PTR record is a pointer record and it's provide a domain name associated with an IP address. A DNS PTR record is exactly the opposite of a A record, which provide the IP address associated with the domain name. So this is the task, and or you can say this is the procedure we are going to do right now. First we will configure the static IP address in the server system. Second we will install a domain service. After that we configure the domain service, like we can configure forward lookup zone, and we can give that name as a forward lookup zone. We can give one name which will be the role.com, and after that we create a reverse lookup zone, and in forward lookup zone we can add a host, and reverse lookup zone we can create a PTR record, and after that we can restart a domain service and run ns lookup command that domain name IP address is resolved to domain name, domain name resolved to IP address. We will check this. So let's start. I will log in as an administrator. As per server 2019 we configured a DNS service the same way we can configure over here in server 2022, and let's check if we will face any kind of issue or error. We'll troubleshoot them at that time. So in the server manager, in local server you can see over here Ethernet 0 IP address assigned by DHCP and IP version 6 is enabled. So what was our first step? Our first step to assign a static IP address. So here we will give a static IP address. So just click over here. In your Ethernet network adapter, just disable this IP version 6 because we are not using, and here we can assign IP address which is 192 dot which is 192.168.1.5, and DNS also we will use the same. Click OK, close. Now we will assign static IP address. We will refresh this and we will check over here. See, the static IP address is assigned. So right now the second step, which is we have to install this roles, which is DNS roles. So here we have to click next. Here you can select the operating system which is act as a DNS service. So I will select this one as default. So now here we will select DNS, click on add features, click next, click next. Click next, click install. Now I will skip a little bit installation part. So I will directly show you after installation is completed. Once the installation is completed, just close this. Here you can see over here, installation is succeeded on this our server name. So now we will go to the tools and DNS configuration. Under DNS configuration, you can see forward lookup zone, reverse lookup zone. So as I told you earlier, so now we will configure forward lookup zone. Just create a new zone. So this is our task. We completed the installation is completed, the domain service in server 2022. Now we will configure DNS configuration in forward lookup zone. So the zone name will be the rawol.com. In forward lookup zone, I will create a new zone, create next, select primary zone. Next, the zone name which is rawol.com we will use. Click next, rawol.com.dns. The file will create this. Do not allow dynamic update. Click next, finish. This is our forward lookup zone is created. The name server with this is our server name. You can check this server name over here also. See this is our server name. Now what next? Now we will create a reverse lookup zone. In reverse lookup zone there is no zone, so create a new zone. Click next, select a primary zone. Click next. Here you can select IP version 4. We are using IP version 4. Here you mention a network ID which is your 192.168.1. These are the network we are using over here. The file which is create, do not allow dynamic update. Click next, finish. Reverse lookup zone is also created. So now we will add host, and after that we will create PTR record in reverse lookup zone. Okay, so again we have to go to forward lookup zone. Here we right click over here, click on new host. Here you can mention the name. Here you mention the IP address. The name you can give over here. What is your server name? That name you can give over here. This is my computer name. So that computer name is my server name. So I will use this name. Copy, cancel. Here I will use the IP address of the system, which is 192.168.1.5. Add host. OK. Done. Now I will go to the reverse lookup zone. In reverse lookup zone, I will create a I will create new PTR record. Here I can browse and add my system which I create in. The moment I select the computer name, you can see the IP address change over here. Before that it was only 192.1. There is no 5. Click OK. Now click refresh. Now I will go to this server, all task, and restart the domain service. Okay, now I will go to the launch NS lookup command. See, default server is my server name with rawol.com and IP address is 1.5. Here I will give you some troubleshooting tips. If suppose ns lookup. It's working, but so now in command prompt we will check, type cmd. Here you can cd slash, here I will type ns lookup. See, this is my server name and the IP address. It resolved successfully. Now now I will give you some troubleshooting tips. If sometime you will see unknown kind of error, like you can see over here, it's default server, it's showing unknown, and you can see IP address over here. What should you do? I will tell you one troubleshooting command over here you should use. You just type ipconfig slash flush DNS. You should use this command if you face this kind of any error. Like again I will tell you, in default server you can see unknown server over here, and you can see only IP address over here. So you should use this command ipconfig slash flush DNS. After that you can run ns lookup command. You can see over here the server name over here, and you can see fqdn domain name over here with IP address. So this is how you can configure domain service in server 2022. It is same as server 2019. There is nothing is different. Thank you. Please subscribe.